Ready whenever you are.
All right, I'm good.
Cheers.
Cheers, Mike.
Start up those opening credits, baby.
All right, let's go.
My God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
You talking to me?
What? No.
That is one big pile of shit.
Hello!
Hey, does this Coke smell funny?
Oh, fuck! What's the procedure? Stay calm! Oh my God!
Boy, that escalated quickly.
Goddamn right.
Hey, all you cool cats and kittens. This is Peej.
And this is Al. You stole my line.
And this is Are You Still Watching? The show where we stream everything and let you know whether you should watch it, skip it, star it, cue it, or run from it like hell.
Today is April 1st, 2020, and President Donald Trump has just announced April Fools on the coronavirus, marking the most epic and hilarious April Fool's prank of all time and another wonderful milestone in his presidency.
All right, well, I guess I'll collect my check from the government anyways.
Oh no, the April Fools was not on the coronavirus pandemic. It was on the $1,200 check.
Oh,
April
that's
Fools. All right, we got a good show for you today. Today's topic for the show is movies from outer space. Me and Pat have both gotten completely orbital before the episode, so now we're going to get into a review for the movie Moon, which is currently streaming on Netflix. And spoiler alert, we both kind of liked it. After that, we're going to get into our Mount Rushmore, which is a game where we list off our 4 favorite movies from outer space of all time. And then we're going to get into a little bit of movies from outer space trivia and finish it off with some recommendations for what we think you guys should watch on streaming services over the next few weeks and tell you some of the stuff that we're going to watch for the next few weeks. But first... That's so fucking stupid. We're going to get into some movie news. Movie news is where one of us tells the other one some various things that are happening in the movie world, and the other guy goes,
Alex,
oh,
I think
cool.
people can figure out the news.
All right, well, tell me if you can figure this out. My first top headline on today's movie news is Tiger King Joe Exotic quarantined for coronavirus.
Is that?
Have you
no
heard
way.
about this?
That's
Oh
not
my
true.
God.
Is that
Yeah.
true?
Yeah, I'm not bullshitting.
That's
just
fake
read it.
news.
No, I actually just
No.
I wrote it like handwritten here because I just read it
Oh,
a few
wow.
minutes ago. Yeah, so
Oh,
I don't
poor
know
Joe.
if I don't know if it's confirmed that Joe Exotic actually has coronavirus,
Why do
but
they
he's been
take the good
quarantined
ones?
right now for it. So he's in danger, his life.
First Weinstein, now Joe Exotic. Who
Oh,
will they come
God.
after next?
Oh my God. The next movie topic.
He's coming back.
The next piece of news that I'd like to share. Actually, I want to get your thought on this news.
Tell me
Rick
about
and
it.
Morty is going to be coming back on May 3rd. And they stream
Oh.
on Hulu. I don't know if they come out live on Hulu as they come out on TV or if it takes a minute. Do you know?
Guess my thoughts on Rick and Morty.
Guess your thoughts on Rick and Morty?
Yeah.
I'm going to guess, since you hate comic book movies, that you're not a fan of
Yeah.
Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
That's too
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah,
I think-
a lot of people tell me that, and I don't know. I've given it a few tries, and it's never caught. So I've tried.
I think Rick and Morty is like, it's understandable if you don't like it. I do like it. I was a
Okay.
big Cartoon Network guy growing up. Like, I really liked Dexter's Lab and like Courage the Cowardly Dog and that type of stuff. And I think Rick and Morty kind of gives me the vibes of that kind of like weird cartoon stuff.
Yeah.
But I definitely see where the hate comes from.
Okay.
Because the Rick and Morty fan base is like so on their high horse. They think Rick and Morty is like the coolest show in the world. So I think they just invite all the hate.
I agree with you. Yeah, there's Rick and Morty, like lunchboxes and pencil dispensers and stuff. And I don't know, have they warranted that yet? I mean, you're not The Simpsons.
Yeah, I
You're not
kind of get that
Family Guy.
vibe too. They have like this legendary status, but I honestly thought season 3 was all right. You know, in comparison, I thought season 1 of Rick and Morty, I was like, oh fuck, this is the show. So I guess we'll have to see where it goes.
I'm just not the demo. I don't like that. Yeah. I don't really like cartoons in general. You know, I like The
Ooh.
Simpsons, obviously.
We're going to have to review an animated movie sometime soon.
I like The Simpsons. King of the Hill, I wasn't a huge fan of. Futurama was okay. I don't even really like Family Guy that much. So
I'm learning a lot more about you, and I don't know if I like where it's going.
I'm just a hater, I guess.
You could definitely be classified as a hater.
Well, yeah. That's why they gave me this show. Just to hate on stuff.
So our last piece of news, hopefully you don't hate this piece of news.
Tell me about it.
Just like they do every month, Barstool published the list of all the movies that are coming to and leaving all the streaming services. So I think they cover Netflix, HBO,
I did
Hulu.
see this. And we're going to go through this later, right?
Yeah,
go over
we will.
some top ones? Okay,
yeah, we will.
cool.
At the end of the show, we'll touch on it. We'll run down that list. And why don't we list off the movies that we think rock in that list that you got to add to your list when they come out, and the movies that suck that you should just not watch.
Okay.
It's a great idea.
I had a bunch that jumped out at me right away to like go watch this right now. So I got it. Yeah. I'm pretty excited with
There's
what's
a ton
coming
on
up.
that list. I think it's time for us to get into our movie review.
Sweet. So the movie, like we said, is Moon. It was written and directed by Duncan Jones, stars Sam Rockwell and Kevin Spacey as pretty much the only two actors in the movie. As the movie takes place, it's a very isolation movie. Takes place in outer space. Per our topic today, based in the near future, where Sam Bell, played by Sam Rockwell, is nearly complete with a 3-year contract harvesting energy on the dark side of the moon. The story gets going when Sam gets into what appears to be a fatal injury while doing some harvesting. Then, while recuperating back at the base with no memory of how he got there, Sam meets a younger, angrier version of himself, who appears to be a clone. The two try to figure out what's going on with them and their whole situation. And with a rescue mission coming to their base on the moon shortly, the two try to figure out a way to either get back to Earth or figure out what's going on. Alex, tell me what you thought of Moon.
Yeah, I'd love to tell you what I thought. And by the way, before I speak, I want to give a spoiler alert. We're going to spoil the whole movie. We both kind of like the movie, so go watch it if you want to watch it and then compare your thoughts.
If you haven't seen Moon, pause this episode right now. You can go back and watch our last episode because that's where we tease Moon. And you can watch that episode instead of this one.
And you can watch it
it'll lead
right
you
now.
right into this episode.
It's on Netflix. Just close the browser, open Netflix, watch the show, and then come back and listen to our review. So now, if we can get into spoilers, I just want to say, dude, was that the synopsis from like IMDb or something? Like, where was that outline from?
Why?
That thing covered the whole story. I don't know if you know, like the movie kind of had some mystery about it, and if you read that synopsis, you're like, whoa, like you know a lot of the twists and turns. Because
it's funny you should ask, because I pulled that synopsis from like 3 different synopses and also added my own like a couple things.
it was a way overly synopsisized. I think I think like obviously some of the biggest plot points in the movie are like him discovering another version of him. He doesn't even know if it's like a clone yet. Like, like neither do you as the viewer.
Absolutely. So, I mean, jumping right in, I think that was, to me, the most interesting part of the movie. And quite frankly, I thought it was a really interesting scenario and really cool. So I appreciate that. And I especially appreciated that it happened. It wasn't like the twist, it wasn't like that was the end of the movie.
Yes.
And it was like, oh my God, he's a clone. And, that's it. The twist, the fact that he's a clone happened, I don't know, half hour into the film, 40 minutes tops.
Yeah, it's just one of the plot points to help like set up the movie, really.
Yeah.
Like finding the clone pushes the story in like a totally different direction than what I originally thought the movie was going to be about. Like I actually thought that it was going to be a movie of a guy just going insane in isolation on the moon. But then they add some more elements, which is awesome. Like the clone is obviously the big part of the movie. But then something that I loved was Gertie, the robot.
Yeah.
Gertie the robot was fucking awesome. I think he was played by Kevin Spacey, which, lives his life outside of films in a not recommendable way, but almost all of his films that he acts in become recommendable because he's a legendary actor and he just like crushes it as this robot. So kind of nice that he's not in there in person, because that would really be throwing me off to be like, oh, but like just his voice, I'm like, okay, I can get past it here. He's kind of like acting like a robot anyway.
I agree. I mean, I thought he did a great job. He was kind of perfect for that role. And they could easily replace him, if they really wanted to.
Right. Yeah, they could.
Did.
They
yeah,
could
like they did in
replace him.
that Christopher Plummer movie with Mark Wahlberg. I forget what it's called.
Really? I
All
didn't
the
even
Money
know
in the
about
World. Yeah, they made a movie, All the Money in the World, with Christopher Plummer and Mark Wahlberg and Kevin Spacey. And then after all the allegations came out, they reshot all of the scenes with Kevin Spacey with Christopher Plummer.
That's incredible.
Crazy.
That's like an extremely expensive PR stunt. I don't know if it's worth it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was a stunt, but
yeah, no.
But yeah,
I'm not trying to act like they were doing it because people were twisting their arm.
Yeah, but
I'm just saying, like, it's a very expensive way not to look like assholes. I'm saying.
Yeah, 100%. I get what you're saying.
Back to Moon though, Gertie and the role of this robot.
I've never seen a robot. Like, I thought the robot was going to turn and be evil. I was 100% sure that was what was going to happen.
Yeah, I think, and you talked about this previously when we talked about Moon in the last episode. I think we were talking about how it's very Twilight Zone-ish, and it's super derivative from that, and also 2001: A Space Odyssey. It's like
definitely Hal.
It's its brainchild almost, and I
definitely has a lot of that in it.
I love that the movie is self-aware of the fact that it's very derivative of 2001, because they tricked us, and it was one of my favorite parts of the whole movie is that when the robot is like super creepy the whole time, just like following him around, like floating around the room and stuff.
That
and
creepy
this robot
emoji.
And the robot's talking to the company behind his back, like video chatting with the company. And you're thinking, this is the plot of the movie, is the robot's fucked. The robot's going to kill him. And then you meet the clone and you go, oh, okay, the robot's not the main part of the movie. And then even further at the end, when the robot sees him deteriorating because he's like on his clone expiration date or whatever, and Gertie helps him discover the truth of what's going on up there, and then says, my mission is to protect you, Sam. And you're just like, what? So the robot's a good guy the whole time? I was creeped the fuck out of this robot the whole time.
Yeah.
And the director knew it, and I loved that. He played me.
And then at the very end of the movie, when the new Sam Bell is like, gonna stick together, like there's like some sort of camaraderie between clones and computers.
Yes.
Like I've just never seen that before in film. And towards the end of the film, I was thinking about it, and I was like, I just watched an awesome film about two clones and a computer. There were no humans in the whole movie.
Yeah, dude. Now that you say, that is totally insane to think about. Like, the computer obviously sympathizes with these clones of Sam Bell because they're man-made, just like the computer is. They're not much different.
Yeah.
Not like a fully organically born human and a robot where we have this kind of
a subtle layer there.
Yeah, that's really interesting to think about. I think, and that's one of the reasons why, one of the positives with this movie is it's a big thinker movie. Like, it's going to leave you just kind of like pondering it for days and days. I keep thinking, I'm like, well, what about, and it does so little in terms of action, but so much that you have to think about.
I think the ending is perfect. It's absolutely perfect in the fact that it leaves you with so much, because the last few lines of it are like, what are we going to do with this illegal immigrant or something like that? So that he gets to Earth on this shuttle, and something else goes on, and it's very akin to, I thought of when, I'm going to butcher her name, but Thandie Newton, the girl from Westworld. She's in Mission Impossible 2. In the very last season of West, steps off the sun to the world, like the real world. And that there's no more episodes to the last episode, and you're just like, what's going to happen? But you don't need to know. You just know that there's like an exponential amount of possibilities that could happen.
Yes.
If they didn't ruin it with season 2. Anyways.
Yeah. I think making an ending extremely powerful is such, I revere that so much in movies, because it's so hard. I mean, you can make an awesome movie. Like, we talked about The Dark Knight a couple weeks ago, and honestly, I think the ending of The Dark Knight isn't like the best part of the movie. There's so many better parts of the movie than the ending. But
I agree with your
when a
point there.
movie makes the ending like this explosive moment, and this ending isn't like a high action ending. It's just like it ends and it opens up so many possibilities that you're just like, oh man, what now? Like now you're thinking, I want a sequel. I want to see what happens after. And I love that the movie did that.
Well, it seems like we liked it. How much did we like it? What was your rating? What's your Al rating? And do you have an official name? Because mine are Peej ratings. What's your official rating scale?
Mine could be Al ratings. I'll think of something in the future.
Okay.
Hold on. Before I give my Al rating, because I don't want to mislead people. You did mention this movie is easy to be misled and be told that it's so good and great. It does have like 90s from critics and stuff, and I did get I was surprised with how boring the movie was. And to that, I don't mean that it was like I was getting sick of watching it, but not much happened. I think if you're a casual moviegoer and people keep telling you, oh yeah, it's an outer space movie, he's on the moon and he's lost up there, you're thinking of The Martian starring Matt Damon. Like, oh, what's he gonna, all the antics he's gonna get into? It's not what this movie is. It's really slow paced.
Yeah.
And the whole point of the movie is that the clones up there that are spending their 3-year stint on the moon, they're going insane. So they show the same scenes multiple times. They play very similar music over and over. And for me, it actually did become a con sometimes because it got a little repetitive.
Okay.
And I'm torn because that's what the movie was trying to do. But
it sounds like we're going to get a lukewarm rating here.
Well, what the movie ended up doing was it hit its tonality perfectly, but I don't want to rewatch it. You know, I just don't want to go through it again. That's not something that I always get from movies that I like really, really love. However, I'm not going to give it as bad of a grade as you think. I'm going to give it an 8 points.
Before? What point?
An 8.7.
8 points? Wow. I mean, that's high.
And I just want to preface it saying, though, maybe it would be a 90 if... I don't know how it would be a 90. I just don't think this type of movie is possible to be a 90 in my books. It moves so slow. I can't tell people, it's a 95. It's an 87. Go watch it and you will really like it. You'll be like, oh, this is a great movie. But don't expect an action piece up there.
Okay, now I feel weird because I'm gonna... So... Here's how I qualify things, as you know. So I don't regret seeing it. Mm-hmm. I probably will watch it again, and I will recommend it. So it checks those 3 boxes for me. I've given a pretty glowing recommendation so far, but I don't know. I think I'm kind of a tough critic, so I'm gonna give it a 7.6.
7.6.
I thought it was very good. I didn't think it was great. I don't think I've ever said it was great. But it had a lot of elements I really like. I love the Twilight Zone-esque sort of thing. I like that there was only 2 actors. It was an isolation movie. It's perfect for right now when we're all in quarantine.
I agree. It was. I was cool with watching an isolation movie because we're in quarantine. I was like, oh, it's relatable. It was kind of cool, Yeah. I want to touch on one thing before we move on from the movie review, just because we've already spoiled the whole thing. So I want to talk about some thought that I had after the movie, a few days after the movie, actually. Look back and I thought, with the plot at the end of the movie, one clone goes back to Earth. We know that the clone is, like, according to the movie's rules, the clone is, like, going to die in 3 years. He's going to deteriorate.
Yeah.
And we know...
He's going to YOLO real hard.
Right. And we know that the real Sam Bell was sent back. So I've got...
Or did he ever go?
I've got 2 dilemmas here, right? Like, the real Sam Bell was either originally sent back to Earth after his 3 years, or he just gave them his DNA, like via contract or something. And what's insane to think about is, like, the moral dilemma of, well, then what are these clones? Like, doesn't the company created them? It's not like they were born with a life. So what kind of laws apply to them and all that? That's a philosophical question that the movie asks at the end. But another...
Yeah, like last, 2 lines, yeah.
Yeah, but another even weirder concept that I was thinking about is the fact that Sam is going absolutely insane up there on the moon. And this is one of those movies, a lot like Shutter Island, where the main character has gone so insane that you can't even really trust the recollection of the story. Mm-hmm. So I look back and I wonder, maybe was Sam just insane from being up there for 3 years, and we were just watching a madman climb into a spaceship and go back to Earth because he had gone fully fucking insane.
So you're saying maybe we're missing the whole twist, and he wasn't even a clone the whole time?
I'm not saying that was definitely the twist of the movie, because I think it wasn't. I'm just saying it's interesting to consider that could be a possible scenario that happened.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't even cross my mind.
Nuts.
So, yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I like to think of like alternative explanations for films, and when a director leaves a story open enough that you can interpret with alternative explanations, and they don't explain everything away. I think that's really interesting.
All right, well, let's see how everybody else liked it. Rotten Tomatoes has a 90 critics, 89 audience, so seems like it's perceived very well. Maybe I was a little too harsh with my review. Maybe I should have bumped it up, especially considering the glowing recommendation I'm giving it.
Well, this is a movie where you figure the critics are going to be higher than the audience, right?
Agreed.
This is the perfect example of a movie where critics are going to love it.
Agreed. And it did decent, I mean, for what it was. It was only $5 million budget, which is impressive in its own. Yeah. So for $5 million, thoroughly impressive. I mean, they only had 1.5 actor, but I'm sure that helps.
Yeah, I mean, they used the rest of the money to make a serious film.
Yeah, and the really director was also the writer. I'm very curious about how that whole thing went. But anyways, it grossed $9.7 million, so can't really argue with that. Seems like a success to me.
It's interesting. You look at a movie like Moon, where critics gave it a 90, and like no brainer, critics would give it a 90. If you watch the movie, you're gonna think, yeah, that movie was pretty fucking good, and like really artistically sound. But that movie, it only grossed like what, 9.7 million, you said?
Yeah.
So they only made a profit of $4 million on the movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of money if you're talking about like,
it's a good
if you're trying to conceptualize a good percentage, but it's not that's not huge for a movie.
Yeah,
definitely not a movie that's like award winning.
Sure. Yeah, and I wonder about the release, if it was, it only had a $5 million budget, so but those are things I'm not aware of, but.
All right. Well, I think it's that time.
Is it that time?
It's time for Rushmore. This is the part of the show when we give our 4 top picks. I don't know, our opinion on our favorite 4 movies from today's category, movies from outer space. Peej, what are your top 4 movies from outer space?
All right, so this was tough, and at first I thought that there was going to be a ton to pick from. It ended up being not so much. Maybe I missed a ton, but anyways, I came up with a great list. I'm excited to share it with you guys.
Okay, wait, did you just say it's not so much?
Yeah, I feel like there wasn't a ton to pick from.
Dude, I felt like this was the hardest Rushmore in the world. I thought there was like 100 movies. I can't wait to compare lists. I have like too many honorable mentions to mention. It's
okay.
I think space movies is just a ton of great stuff to watch. We'll get into that.
Well, let's get into my Rushmore. So, to start, we talked about it just briefly earlier. We just passed on it. The Martian.
Okay.
Directed by Ridley Scott with Matt Damon.
It was directed by Ridley
fan.
Scott. I didn't even know that.
It was. Yep. I was a huge fan of The Martian. I thought it was a perfect movie. I didn't think it was the greatest movie ever, but I thought it was perfect for what it was. Mm-hmm. Terrific pacing, concise, had perfect flow, and the acting was great. The directing was amazing. I like pretty much everything about it. Big fan of The Martian. Also read the book. Not to brag, it's like the only book I've ever read, so I got to
I read the book. Have you read the book, man? The book's way better. The story in the book goes into so much more detail.
Second on my list, although I haven't seen it in far too long, but do you know what I'm going to say?
No.
Apollo 13. I feel like we've all seen it.
Apollo 13. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I feel like we have all watched it at some point in middle school, high school. A ton of my teachers just threw it on like a rainy day, which I am forever grateful for.
Yeah.
For my bottom two, it was a little bit tougher, and similar to last week, I had two on there. I thought about removing them and putting something on a little bit more traditional, and I thought, just go with the gut. Go with what you feel. This is movies from outer space. Don't beat around the bush. So, my third spot on the Mount Rushmore.
Of course.
Star Wars.
Yes.
And I have to pick a movie out of the Star Wars franchise.
On the all right, I'll pick a bone with you.
What?
Afterwards about putting Star Wars on the bottom too on space movies.
Mount Rushmore. There's no order in Mount Rushmore.
I'll have the stand to give my logical Mount Rushmore thereafter, folks. Don't worry about this.
It's one mountain, all right? It doesn't matter where you are.
All right.
So, Star Wars, and I have to pick one movie. It might be controversial, but it probably made the biggest impact on me personally.
Yes, I know where you're going.
And when I saw this in theaters, the first scene is a space scene, and I was completely blown away in the theaters. It's one of the only movies that I was actually like, wow. And it's Revenge of the Sith Star Wars. And
that's because you saw it in the theaters when you were a younger kid, right?
Yes.
Like, that movie was huge for us.
100%.
I remember that. When that thing came out.
I watched those stupid clone movies and the Phantom Menace, all that garbage. And then I was like, all right. I went in with zero expectations because I was like, those last movies were trash. Yeah. I was blown away. I got so much flack. Everybody hated it. I loved it. I still love it. And
crazy.
Shout out to Topher Grace. I don't know if you guys know this, but Topher Grace, star of That 70s Show, has a YouTube channel where he edits. He does a ton of edits.
Okay.
And he edited the first 3 Star Wars, the prequels, into like a 2-hour movie. It's fucking awesome.
Oh, I gotta check that out.
It gets rid of like 99% of Jar Jar Binks and pretty much just like all the shit you roll your eyes at.
No shit.
Yeah. He also did it with the
so funny, dude.
He also did it with the 3 Hobbit movies. He edited those down to just one movie.
Those, I think, have the same problem Revenge of the Sith had, was that you're only watching to see the beginning of this story and the end of the story, and both of the studios decided to make trilogies out of it. Star Wars did episode 1, 2, and 3, and 1 and 2 were such disappointments. Like, 1 was a massive blockbuster, and then it kind of disappointed, and then 2 disappointed even worse. And then, like, for our generation still, though, when 3 came out, we were like, oh shit, now he's turning into Darth Vader. And then everybody went, like, who cares if the last movies were bad? The Hobbit didn't get that same treatment with the third one, but what I'm saying is, like, you don't got to make a trilogy, you know? If they had made Star Wars episode 1 about, like, the world before Anakin was even born, and only episode 3 was Anakin's life or something, they could have done so much better. I think they just pumped the first 2 movies with such bullshit.
Yeah.
Or they could have just hired better writers, of course, you know. We know all the symptoms of the bad Star Wars prequels.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people agree with you. But I don't mean to spend a lot of time on every one. I'll just finish up with my last one. Similar to Star Wars, where I kind of didn't want to do it, but deep down, I knew I had to. It was 2009 Star Trek. It's just a great film, in my opinion. You know, it doesn't take itself too seriously. Chris Pine,
right?
Yeah, where they rebooted it. I thought it was awesome. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but I thought it was a great reboot of the series. I liked the subsequent ones too, but not as much as the first one. I thought the first one was awesome.
All right. I think this is where it's going to show that I really am a fan of classic movies.
Outer space?
And a fan of outer space. I'm going to go through my honorable mentions and blow your mind, I think. Or you'll tell me you hate them all. So,
yeah,
my Rushmore, mostly older movies. My number one, dude, number one, I can't believe you blasphemed and put this series on your bottom 2 list. My number 1 space movie of all time, one of the top movies of all time, is Empire Strikes Back. Are you kidding me? Star Wars Episode 5, dude? Oh my God.
Listen, just so you know, there's no rankings in Mount Rushmore. 1 through 4 is in no particular order.
Folks, there's no rankings in Rushmore, but if I want to be offended because this guy put Star Wars at his bottom 2, then I have the right. I'm not going to get into all the reasons I love Star Wars because then I'm just going to sound like a broken record of every other person on Earth who loves Star Wars. But number 1, Star Wars Empire Strikes Back. My number 2 movie on my list, Alien, Ridley Scott, another oldie that I love. I think it's a classic. I bet Peej hates it.
Yeah. I don't hate it, but I actually just saw this movie recently too, so it is fresh for me, and I wasn't hugely impressed. Maybe I went in with too big of expectations because it has such a big reputation, but I don't know. Maybe too many movies have copied it since, but I wasn't blown away, and I certainly didn't think, hey, where can I watch the second one? Which I heard was even better. So I don't know. Maybe I should, but I don't know.
Well, I think the second one did rock as well, but I put the original above it actually in terms of my preferences.
Okay.
My third movie is going to be my last oldie, 2001: A Space Odyssey.
I was waiting for the.
For me, I do my Rushmore on like, I love epic movies that change the world. I love to watch them and kind of see what they did in their time to change the way that movies went forward. And Space Odyssey is like, without a doubt, a game changer. All like the special effects that Kubrick used in that movie were just insane. And you can see them so much in Star Wars. If you watch 2001 and then watch Star Wars really close to each other, you can see how much stuff Star Wars took. And a crazy thing about 2001, it was filmed before we landed on the moon. Wild. All those space scenes and interpretations.
I thought they filmed both of those things at the same time.
They did actually. They used Kubrick's studio to film the moon landing when they faked it, of course.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, that's actually a true fact of history. My last movie on my Rushmore is going to be a newer movie, Arrival, which doesn't take place in space. They never actually go to space, but the movie is about a big giant alien coming from outer space. So I decided to include it on my list. Plus, I'm looking for any excuse to talk about the movie Arrival. Have you seen it?
Okay. I have not. In fact, is this with Chris Pratt?
No. Jeremy Renner is the guy.
Okay. Because I think 2 movies came out at like the same time that I confused. Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt movie and this movie.
Okay. Arrival is a movie about a bunch of aliens who show up and they speak a language that the humans can't speak. And Amy Adams is trying to translate their language. And shit gets lit. I highly recommend watching Arrival. It's awesome.
It sounds familiar now.
It's like
why do they do that? I feel like so many movies come out with like pairs, like Ants: A Bug's Life.
I've heard there's actually a reason they do that, but I'd like to look into that sometime.
Yeah.
Can I go through my honorable mentions list and talk to you about all the great space movies?
I have a couple myself,
I'm just going to burn through these. Star Trek: Wrath of Khan. I don't really like Star Trek, so I didn't include it, but it's a legendary space movie.
Okay.
Blade Runner. Blade Runner's awesome. Total Recall. Those 2 movies are more like
Blade
future
Runner.
Movies and space movies, so I didn't include them.
Yeah.
E.T. the Extraterrestrial.
I've got 2 that almost made my list. They might have replaced Star Trek and Revenge of the Sith if I was a weaker man. Gravity, which I really liked.
Yeah.
Gravity.
Okay.
And also Interstellar.
Can I tell you about 3 space movies I've never seen?
Yes.
Actually, I'll tell you about 4 space movies I've never seen. Gravity, Interstellar, The Martian, or Ad Astra. I haven't seen any of those.
Those are like,
so many of them I have to watch.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing.
So The Martian, I think you can watch that on YouTube TV if you have it. If you don't, I'll give you my password. Yeah.
Oh, cool. And actually, for the movies on my Rushmore, I know you can watch Star Wars on Disney. Make your mind up for yourself about whether it's a good movie or not. You can watch Alien on HBO right now.
Yep, that's right.
Cool stuff. Is it about that time?
Cool. So it is about that time.
Hey, it's trivia time.
Yep, so we've got some trivia for you guys. Before we do get to some trivia, I just want to let you know that this podcast is sponsored by Oceanic Air. Now is a great time to book your flight across the country. Oceanic Air will not get it lost. Please book today. Use promo code ASYW and get 50% off your order today. All right. Without further review, we have 2 trivia facts for you guys today. They're both space related. The first one touches on. I already talked about it a little bit, so I won't go too in depth with it. But I do want to let you know that the movie The Martian is based on the novel by Andy Weir, and I just thought it was awesome the way that he put this together. So it's just an aspiring novelist. It was his first novel, and the way it started, it was just a blog. He just started blogging about this on a website, and people said, "Where can I get this all at once?" He put it on Amazon Kindle for like 99 cents.
What?
Fast forward 10 years, it's getting made, starring Matt Damon, directed by Ridley Scott, and it's in my Mount Rushmore. So, true blogs to Are You Still Watching story.
That's wild.
Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy. Dude started the story as a blog, and then it became just this huge hit.
Mm-hmm.
That's badass, man.
Yeah. I'll do that one day.
What will your
Sorry.
blog be about?
I said one day, not Sunday.
Oh, we need a
yeah.
laugh track.
It'll be about pirates. And then our second fact is about another space movie, which you should watch. It's called Gravity. Gravity was originally set to be directed by Angelina Jolie and also star Angelina Jolie and Robert Downey Jr. Could have been a completely different movie.
You know, Gravity doesn't look like a Robert Downey Jr. movie to me, but I could totally imagine Angelina Jolie in it. However, I've only seen the trailers.
And Angelina Jolie, not a bad director. I don't know if you saw Unbroken, but it's very good. And I think it's on a streaming service right now, but I forget which one. So
I didn't even know she was directing movies now.
She's good. Yeah.
Good for her.
Yeah.
All right. I think if we're all out of trivia facts, then what we should wrap things up with is some recommendations and talk about what's on our watch list for the week. But we have an article to go through first.
Yes.
All of the new movies and TV coming to Netflix and HBO and Hulu and Amazon Prime.
All the good stuff. So I saw this list. Like Alex prefaced it at the beginning of the episode. I think Barstool puts it out like once or twice a month. I guess probably once a month. That makes sense. But it's all the stuff going in these programs. And a bunch of stuff just jumped out at me. We have to watch. We have to see. You guys have to see. I've seen it. I'll just go through. I'll just rattle off a few, and then Alex, you can do the same or whatever you want. So, The Social Network, one of my favorite movies. Mud, starring Matthew McConaughey, very underrated. Sherlock Holmes, pretty good movie. Mortal Kombat, excellent movie, especially if you got some 90 nostalgia on the brain.
All right.
Minority Report, that's so good. We might have to review that at some point.
Minority Report.
And then I'll throw this one out there just because it is absolutely ridiculous and it's topical for today's episode. Killer Clowns from Outer Space. If you got some silly friends, stay 6 feet away from them, get silly, and watch this movie. It's ridiculous. Those are all available for streaming on Netflix starting April 1st.
You want to know what I have on Netflix that I can't wait to watch this month?
Tell me.
Netflix has Lethal Weapon 1 through 4. And
I saw that.
HBO is getting Die Hard 1 through 3. So you can go on a 7-movie just masculine adventure. I'm actually probably not going to watch those 7 movies, but maybe one of them. They are fun. Also, April 25th, Django Unchained is coming out. And I'm down to watch Django.
Yeah, if you want to watch Quarantino's 7th best film, go for it.
Okay. Wow. You never stop. Actually, can I tell you about a movie that I want to watch that I'm sure you don't want to watch? I've never seen Despicable Me.
Avengers?
1. Not the Minions, not Despicable Me 2. I'm talking about the first one, the one where they make a good movie. I've never seen it. And I am kind of a fan of animated movies, like kids' movies, The Incredibles, Toy Story, stuff like that. So I'm interested to see Despicable Me. I'm just curious to see how good it really is.
Okay, so now we want to leave you guys into the weekend with some stuff to watch over the weekend and some stuff that we have seen before that we know is good and stuff that we have in our queue that we're not sure is good, but we're going to find out. So I'll start as far as things that are in my queue that I want to watch this week. It's Ozarks. Season 3 is available now on Netflix. I think that the date was sometime in April, and they pushed it forward because of Corona. So thank you for that, Netflix, if that's true. I'm really excited. Season 1 and 2 were awesome. Hopefully they can keep it going. So that's what's in my queue. As far as something that I've seen before that I'm going to recommend to you guys, it is Slumdog Millionaire. It's coming to Netflix. It's coming to HBO starting April 1st. I'm going to watch it, even though I've already watched it. Alex?
Yeah, I've never seen it before.
You've never seen it, so I'm going to make you watch it.
All right.
Because
I'm down for Slumdog.
We're going to review it on next week's episode, and we're going to incorporate it into a Mount Rushmore for rags to riches stories, pulling yourself up from your bootstraps.
Zeros to heroes.
Zeros to heroes, exactly. So,
all right, man. That sounds awesome.
In my queue, Ozark Season 3, my recommendation and our review for next week, Slumdog Millionaire.
Perfect. You want to know what's in my queue is going to be Team America World Police. Not because I haven't seen it before, but because I haven't seen it in like 10 years. And that movie's hilarious. It's coming to HBO this month, and I can't wait to watch it. Have you ever seen that?
I have seen it, yes.
Okay. I might have been disappointed in you if you hadn't seen that. That movie cracks me up every time.
It. Yeah. I saw it when I wasn't allowed to see it a long, long time ago. And
yes,
it's great.
Yeah, same here. My recommendation of the week is going to go along with another Tarantino movie that I'm looking forward to seeing.
Ooh.
Inglourious Bastards. I've seen Inglourious Bastards before. I think like super popular movie. You've probably seen it before, but that movie fucking rocks. I watched it a second time recently, and it kicked my ass again on the second time. So with Django coming to Netflix, I'm really getting in a Tarantino mood, and I'm going to go Inglourious Bastards for my recommendation.
I love it. We're definitely gonna do a Tarantino episode at some point, so I don't want to give too much away, but I will. Inglourious Bastards is my favorite.
No shit. It's up there for me. We'll talk about this some other time.
But thanks everybody for coming out. Hopefully you guys got some stuff to do over the weekend, some cool stuff to watch. And hopefully you're still here.
And we're out.